Let me just get set up, and I'm going to share my screen with you all. There we go. And there we go. And I'm going to talk this evening about the forcing defense. And I'm starting here with one slide that basically describes some of the points I'll be looking at in the hands. So the forcing defense occurs when the defense can gain extra tricks in a suit contract by forcing declarer to ruff, so that declarer ultimately loses control of trumps. And if you're a defender, it can happen if you've got quite good trumps, and if you start leading another suit and declarer starts ruffing, you can sometimes end up with more trumps than declarer. So in that situation, do not be put off leading your long suit, even after declarer has already ruffed it, as long as declarer can only ruff in one hand, in their own hand. And if you have a high trump in that situation, like an ace or a king, it's often right not to take it right away when you can, but take it as your penultimate trump. It's often a good tip when you're wondering, when should I take my ace, to take it as your penultimate card. We'll look at some examples of that. There are also some tips here for declarer, and one is that normally you won't gain any extra tricks by ruffing in the hand with the long trump suit. You'll normally gain tricks by ruffing in the hand with the short trump suit. Though there are exceptions to this, such as hands where you're cross-ruffing or cross-ruffing the entire hand, or perhaps you're ruffing just to get back to your hand. And another tip for declarer, which we'll have a look at as well, is sometimes you should establish a side suit before you draw the last trump. And if the defense do have a high trump and they haven't taken it, so there's just one high trump left out, normally don't draw it. You have better control of trump if you just leave it out and let the opponents ruff with it. So we'll look at some examples of all of this in a moment. And let's start with this one here. I'm sorry, I just wanted to look at the bidding. You open one heart, there's a one spade overcall. North, your partner bids two diamonds. You rebid hearts, and you end up in four hearts. And the opponents lead the ace of spades, and down comes dummy, and you're going to stop to make a plan. And in a suit contract, you're normally going to count your potential losers. So you can see you've got some spade losers, but I want you to plan this hand on the assumption that when you gain the lead, you're going to start by drawing the opponent's trumps, which will take at least 3 rounds, of course. And if you do that, how many losers do you think you have here? So look at your hand and look at dummy, look at each suit one at a time, and try and work out how many losers you think you have here. So here comes the first of the polls. And the question is, how many losers do you think you have here? And you've nearly all gone for 3. Just one person said 5. And if we switch back to it, let's try and work that out. Yes, we've got 2 spade losers, which I think we're going to lose right away. But after that, the only other loser I can see is the ace of hearts. So hopefully, and indeed with normal distribution, you would only lose those 3 tricks. You've got no diamonds to lose and no clubs to lose. But with a bad trump break, things can go wrong. And let's see what happens. So they start off with the ace of spades. They play the king of spades. They play the queen of spades. And you obviously want to ruff this. And let's suppose you start drawing trumps and you start by leading a low heart. You take the first heart. You play another heart. And East discards. So now you should take stock of the situation because you've drawn 2 rounds of trumps where East discarded, although you also ruffed a spade earlier. So that's 8 trumps gone, and left are 9, 10, 11. So West has got 2 trump left, including the ace. And things can go wrong here, especially if you try to continue drawing trumps. So let's just bring up the hands and we'll see that West does indeed have the ace and 7 left. If you play another trump, okay, what can happen is that West can win this with the ace. And if they play another spade, now, if you want to win this, you have to ruff with your last trump. And now the opponents have gained control of trumps. And you have no more trumps left, so you can't draw the last trump from West. All you can do is start cashing your tricks. You might try the ace and queen of diamonds. You might try some clubs. But at some point, you're going to lead something, and West is going to be able to ruff with their last trump. And in this layout, they can actually also cash a spade and take 8 tricks, hold you to down 2. And what happened was that you lost control of trump because you ruffed twice, and because West had a good trump holding, you got a bad 4-1 break. You ended up down 2. Now, is there anything you can do about this? Well, this hand, if I rewind it and click on the GIB link, the computer's saying that you can not make this contract if the opponents start by cashing their spades. If they lead something else, then you can make 4 hearts. But if they lead the ace of spades, then you'll be down at least 1. Now, in the previous time we played it, we went down 2, and you can do a little better than that. So if we play again as we did before, ruffing the 3rd round of spades, and we start drawing trumps, and at this point, we discover the bad trump break, and it's actually better at this point to give up on trump. Don't try to draw any more trump. Now, because you don't draw trump, you've already lost 2 tricks, and you're going to lose the ace of hearts and another trump. So you'll be defeated, but you'll only go down 1 trick if you now leave trump alone. So that's what you should do here, and just try to cash some winners. You might try your clubs, but at some point, West will ruff with their 7 of hearts, and they might well play their ace of hearts. But whatever they play next, if they play a spade, you've still got a trump left, and you can claim the rest. But you'll be down 1 rather than down 2. So that with a normal break in hearts, you would have made the contract. But with that bad trump break, and because the opponents kept playing spades, you were able to hold it to down 1. Now, it is possible for the defense to let you make this. And let's suppose that they play this hand again, just as before, and they take 2 spades, you ruff the first one. If you start playing hearts now, it's important for West to take the ace of hearts at exactly the right moment. And in this case, exactly the right moment is when the last trump is played from dummy. So that means you let the first one go, and if they play a second one, you should let that one go too. If you make the mistake of winning, for example, the second heart here, now the forcing defense doesn't work. So if you now play another spade, the declarer can ruff that one in dummy, okay, and now he'll just maybe come back to his hand. He can draw the last 2 trump, and you'll make your 10 tricks here. So on this example, if I rewind it, you can see it was very important for West to take his ace of hearts at the right moment. And that was when the last trump is being played from dummy, so that you're forcing declarer to ruff in their own hand. By the way, if you have something like this, a long suit, you might always lead that, but it can be especially valuable to lead that when you have quite a good trump holding. The other way that the defense could go wrong on this is not taking their ace of hearts at the right moment by leaving it too late. So in other words, play this another time, play just as before. But if West lets the second heart go, and then when a third heart is played, this is the time that West should play their ace. If they make the mistake of playing low, now there's just one trump out, it's the ace, and declarer, of course, should not draw it. Declarer can now make the contract by just cashing the winners, letting West ruff with their ace of hearts whenever they wish, but you've still got a heart, so you can ruff the spade and make 10 tricks. So there's quite a lot in these kinds of hands for both sides, both for declarer to play it well and for the defense to try and create the forcing defense. If you have any questions, do interrupt me. I want to have a look at this one here, where you open a spade, North your partner bids 2 diamonds, and you bid your second suit 2 hearts. North now jumps to 3 spades, and it's worth thinking about what you think that shows. It should mean something like he's inviting in spades, and he's got a preference for spades over hearts. So presumably he's got 3 spades for you, and you accept the invitation, and you end up in 4 spades, and the opponents lead the king of diamonds. And I'd like you to do the same thing here as we did on the last hand. Let's assume we win this first trick with the ace of diamonds. And if we were to just draw trumps, it would take at least 3 rounds of trumps to draw the opponent's trumps. How many total losers would we have? So look at the suits one at a time. And if we win this one and draw trumps, how many losers will we have? So here's the second poll of the evening. And the question is, if you start by drawing all the opponent's trumps, how many losers would you expect? Have a look at the results so far. And most popular response is 1. The responses for 2, 3, and 4. So let's switch back and see what we think. Well, I deliberately phrased this question to say, if you start by drawing the opponent's trumps, because if we draw the opponent's trumps, it's going to take 3 rounds normally to draw them, and we won't have any spades left in dummy. And if we play it that way, in addition to the ace of spades, we have 2 heart losers, which we may lose. We don't have any diamond losers, we don't have any club losers, but we might end up with 3 losers if we start by drawing all the opponent's trumps. Those of you who think you can get away with fewer losers than that, well, of course, you're absolutely right, because what we're going to do here, instead of drawing trumps, we're going to try to ruff our hearts in dummy. We've got 2 losing hearts, and if we can ruff both of those in dummy, we can perhaps make 12 tricks here, losing just 1 trick to the ace of spades. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to play the ace of diamonds, and we're going to turn our attention to hearts, and we're going to try to cash the ace and the king. If that succeeds, we're now going to plan to ruff the last 2 hearts. And it's worth thinking about what you're going to ruff with. We want to ruff twice here. So I'm going to ruff the first one with the 7 and the second one with the 10. So that's my plan here. So I play the 5, I ruff with the 7, and that succeeds. And I'd like you to think now about what are you going to play now. You've just ruffed the 5 of hearts with the 7 of spades in dummy. So you're going to lead something from dummy, and I'd like you to think about what you should lead now. Should you lead a spade or a diamond or a club? And this is the third poll of the evening, And the question is, which card you're going to lead from dummy, having just ruffed the 5 of hearts. Responses? And the most popular response is a 9 of clubs, with half of you going for that, and responses for all the other um, options were also chosen. So let's switch back and see what we think. Sorry, well, this is the point we're at. Well, leading a spade is a bad idea here, because if you lead a spade and the opponents take their ace, they can now draw the second trump from dummy, and you'll be left with the heart loser that you can't do anything about. What you want to do here is get back to your hand, and the best way to get back to your hand is with a club. Lead a low club towards your hand. If I click for a moment on the GIB button, it's actually telling me that I can make 12 tricks, makes the 2 over tricks I'm hoping for if I lead a club. And although I could lead the ace or the king of clubs, it doesn't actually gain you anything. What you want to really do is lead a low club so that you will then be able to ruff the last heart. And I'm very pleased that almost none of you selected leading a diamond, because although leading a diamond will get you back to your hand, so that you can then ruff, if you get a bad trump break, it can cause you to lose control of trump. And we'll see what happens if you do that in a minute. But yes, I think you should lead the 9 of clubs, win that one in your hand, and then play your last heart. And this heart we're planning to ruff with the 10 if so that it can't be over ruffed. Now, actually on this layout, West doesn't follow suit, but discard. So there's actually 1 heart left, and we know it's with East. So you can ruff high or low here, it doesn't matter. And you can ruff with the 4 if you like. And now you've done that, all we want to now do is draw trump. I'll just bring up the 4 hands at this point, and we can see that we have a bad trump break here, but we can still draw the opponent's trump. So when we play the 10, we're going to overtake here so that we can continue to draw trumps. Play the queen. At some point, West is going to take their ace, but if they play another diamond, say, we're still in good shape because we can ruff that and draw the last trump and take the last 2 tricks. So played that way, even with a bad trump break, even with a 4-1 trump break, we can still make the 12 tricks we're hoping for. What I see a lot of people do on this hand is they start off taking the ace of diamonds, and they have this irresistible urge to play another diamond. And although you can do that and you can ruff, and on many hands it won't make a difference, on a hand like this where you get a bad 4-1 trump break, it will lead to you losing control of trump. So I see a lot of people playing this by, they want to ruff a diamond here, and you can do that, but you actually have just weakened your trump holding. So now if you play as before, playing the ace king of hearts, ruffing a heart, come back to your hand with a club, and then playing another heart, and West discard, so you ruff, and you can now come back to your hand. And if you now keep, but when you play that spade, West can win with the ace. And can you see that they can now cash diamonds, because although you can ruff, they've tried to cash diamonds rather, but although you can ruff, you've now lost control of trump because you just have 2 trump left and West has got 3. So you can try drawing trumps, but you get the bad news. So you should probably abandon trumps at this point. And whatever happens, you can you can still make this contract because you've got that Jack of Spades as your 10th trick, but West has still got a trump, so we'll hold you to 10 tricks instead of the 12 tricks you were hoping to make, just because you ruffed a diamond and lost control of trump. Do let me know if you have any questions on that. Let's end with one last one, and this one is quite interesting. You can lose control of trump even without a bad trump break, and this is an example of it. You open 2-no trump here. That's 20 to 22 points. North bids 3 clubs, which is Stayman. East overcalls 3 hearts. And you, because you've got a spade suit you can show, should bid 3 spades. You assume your partner was maybe looking for a spade fit there. You bid 3 spades and you end up in 4 spades. And West, of course, leads a heart, which is their partner's suit. And last poll of the evening, how many losers do you expect here? Look at the suits one at a time and see if you can tell me how many losers you would expect altogether. Here's the last poll. And nearly all of you have gone for 3, with one person saying 4. Let's switch back and see what we think. Yes, it appears you only have 3 losers here, because you've got 2 heart losers and you're missing the ace of diamonds. You're not expecting to lose any trump or any clubs. So you would think you would just lose 3 tricks here, but it can go wrong. Let's suppose they take the jack here and they play another heart back, and they've taken the first 2 tricks, and they now play a 3rd heart. Well, you should really be planning to ruff this one high, because East has got a long heart suit, and if you ruff low, there's a distinct chance that you might get over ruff. So let's do the right thing here and draw ruff high. And now let's suppose you start drawing trumps. So we draw 1 round, we draw a 2nd round, everyone follows. So if you're counting the trumps, there's 1 trump out, and let's suppose you draw it. Okay, you've drawn the last trump here. Now things look okay, except you haven't forced out the ace of diamonds yet. So when you play a diamond, if we bring up the 4 hands at this point, we can see that with the when East wins the ace of diamonds, they can cash another heart, and you've run out of trump in your own hand, so you can't prevent them taking 4 tricks that way. After that, if they play another heart, you can ruff that one in dummy and you can claim the rest, but you'll go down 1 trick. You'll only make 9 tricks. So what went wrong there was that you ran out of trump in your own hand. So let's play it again. Again, after 3 rounds of hearts, you ruff the first round. And what you need to do is not draw all the trump just yet. You can see it's going to take 3 rounds to draw the opponent's trumps. And in the south hand, you won't have any trump left at that point to ruff the Queen of Hearts. So what you want to do here is you can draw perhaps 2 rounds of trumps, but you then must leave that last trump out while you establish the diamond suit. So what we're going to do now is play the diamonds, and if East wins that one, if they try to cash the Queen of Hearts, you still have a trump left. You still have the ace, so you can ruff that one. And now you turn your attention to drawing the last trump. So you cross to dummy and draw the last trump with your jack. And once you've done that, then you can make 10 tricks here. So this was one where you didn't really get about, you got an absolutely normal trump break, but you can see that you need to worry about running out of trump in the south hand. And if you ruff if you ruff twice and then try, if you ruff and then try to draw trumps, you can run out of trumps. So the key to this hand is establishing the side suit before you draw that last trump. Now there's a certain element of risk in that on some hands, because if you try to establish diamonds and the opponents may be able to get a ruff in some situations. But it's the only good chance to make that. You need to leave that last trump out until you've established the diamonds. Anyone have any questions on any of those? So we do have a few hands on this topic coming up, and as I said, there's something both for the defence and for declarer on all of those. And I'll just leave that up there. These are the tips you should be thinking about if you're defending and if you're declarer as well.
What's the I miss really how to see with the last hand that you shouldn't draw all the trumps.
Right. Well, when you get to this point, let's suppose they you've got to this point and you're thinking now, okay, shall I draw trumps now?
Hmm.
And I would be thinking, okay, I could draw trumps in 3 rounds, but I will be left with no trumps in the south hand.
Yeah,
And because I've got a heart there, I need to
in
sort
the
of
wrong hand.
stop the instinct of drawing the last trump,
Yeah,
because I can see that they're going to get in again with the ace of diamonds. So I need to set up the diamond suit first, so I can draw 2 rounds, but then I need to set up the diamonds. They can get in, but then if they play another heart, I've still got a trump in the south hand to prevent them winning the heart trick. So that's the gist of it. You just sort of need to think a couple of cards ahead. What will happen if I draw this last trump and then play the diamonds? You
thank
can
you.
see that you'll be wide open in hearts to lose another.
Yes, because the heart's in the same hand as the final
Yeah,
trumps.
that's
Yeah.
right. Anyway, let's end the talk there. I hope you found that interesting.